Welcome to another Knowing Your Town. Today I have Mary Daughraty. Daughraty.
Daughraty, yep.
Okay, as she's the town administrator of the town of Ashby, and we're going to ask her about her job so that we know kind of what she does normally, and we might even get into a couple of the very unusual things that have happened to her just since she's been our town administrator. My name is Jim Hubert, and here we go. One of the many responsibilities of a town administrator is to assist the select board in developing policies and translating the select board's visions into actions. In reality, from your part and from your point of view, is it difficult to work with three individuals who were elected, not appointed, didn't have to be qualified to be a select board member, and yet that's the roles they took on, and you have to work with them? Is it difficult to work with people that don't know what they're doing when they first get here?
No, I mean, they are my three bosses, so I try to work with them and teach them the ropes, so to speak. Let them know over my career in the almost 20 years now in municipalities, I've worked for probably over 25 different select persons. So I've had my share of people that come on with some kind of agenda. Sometimes they have certain missions they like to see the town do, or they just come on for the good of the town. So I appreciate the fact that they volunteer their time. In this town, they're not paid. They're strictly no pay volunteer, and they do a lot of work. So I try to educate them. They mostly come in with a lot of questions. Some have great ideas, and then sometimes they realize how hard it is to get policies or actions to come forth, because they usually require money or a lot of employees to make it happen. So sometimes their hopes and ideas are dashed, and sometimes they're not. So I appreciate all volunteers. I think they do good for the town. I think they all pretty much have the will of the town in their heart. So when they serve on a board, they're doing it for the best of the town.
Okay. So. All right. Now, of all the towns you've worked in, how is Ashby as far as the setup and the effectiveness of our select board? How is Ashby compared to the other towns? I know that wasn't on the questions, but you do have that experience.
Yes, they're very similar. I worked in a smaller town, Ashburnham. It was a 3-member board. The other towns I worked in were 5-member select boards. So I think they all have the same agendas in their heart. It's what's best for the town. They learn as they go along. Some of them were 3 or 4 terms on the board, so they got to know the job very well. Some just kind of did their 1 term and were off. All different personalities, like I said, different agendas when they come on. Some enjoyed bike riding, so they were at bike paths. That was their main goal.
Okay.
So, some are historical, so they look at the historical sites in town. So, but I think they all have their best interests at heart, and no matter the size of the town, they're all the same. They all kind of set the policies. They're the boss of the town administrator or town manager in some cases. So they all kind of have the same role throughout Massachusetts, and I think throughout the states.
Town manager is more of a larger town, city.
Yes, they have, sometimes town managers have a little bit more authority, but it depends on the town, and sometimes towns have town charters. Some of the towns I worked at have town charters, so they make the town administrator a little bit stronger of a town administrator, but it's based on their charter.
Okay.
And we don't have that here in Ashby.
Okay. All right. Should we?
I don't think it's necessary.
Not yet?
No, I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we'd have to probably double our population at least to get that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 6,000 is big town.
Yeah.
Okay. Like so many other volunteers who are in and around town most days, I find you are at times a team builder, a teacher, a coordinator, a mind reader, a lawyer, a student, a referee, and more. A therapist, an escape artist. Can you talk about your many roles, especially the ones that you didn't anticipate as part of Ashby's town administrator, whether good or bad?
I knew the role coming in as a small town, so there's not as many employees as the other towns that I worked in. So the hats that you wear in this town are a lot more due to the fact that we don't have a human resource department. So I'm the human resource person. And I do believe in team building. I think we have a great department heads throughout our town. They work very hard for the town. I appreciate all of them. A lot of them have years and years of knowledge, so it makes their role and my role a lot easier. And I think we work well cohesively. We have monthly department head meetings, so I think it's a good team building thing that we have. My door is always open. I do.
Now, the department head meetings, that's something new.
Yes, I think they started them before, but then they kind of dropped off. Since I've been here, we've had one a month.
Okay.
I think it works out well because the librarian gets to talk to the DPW or the highway superintendent, the police chief, the fire chief. They're all in attendance. So if the librarian needs some help with moving stuff, she'll speak to the highway superintendent. So I think it's a good relationship building between the departments.
I've never heard that happen in Ashby before.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, we meet once a month, and it's only about a half hour.
It is.
We meet the first Thursday of every month, so
It
it's
is.
worked out well. And like I said, it just gets everybody to know each other and build relationships.
Right.
And we kind of just take a survey of what's going on in everybody's office, and you know what's new for them and what's coming up, and so. Yep.
You got to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's great for team building.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Coming soon, one of our select board members is planning to resign their seat. Is this constant turnover going to be one of the biggest team building challenges of your position? And do you think you're up to the challenge again and again and again?
Again and again is the nature of the beast. It's a staggered. Every year, somebody's new on the board. If they decide to go for re-election, or if there's a new incumbent coming in, it's just my job to educate them. They work with the other two members of the board that have been maybe there 1 or 2 terms, so they do have that experience they can pass off to the new member. And it's time where we reorganize the board. So I think everybody's roles are a little bit different. You know, the chair can always stay the chair if the others decide to have him or her do that. So I think it's just an education part, getting to know who that person is, meeting with them maybe on a weekly basis, or either by email, depending on that person if they're retired or still, we have some members that work full time. So email is the best communication, and obviously we see each other at the bi-weekly meetings.
In it's another extra. In the past few years, we've had a number of elected select board members that have resigned shortly after because they didn't think it was going to be what it turned out to be. I mean, they had to be dedicated, and I think they were just not that dedicated time-wise because they couldn't time-wise effectively be a select board member.
Right. It does take a lot of time. There's a lot of homework. We send the packets over with all the agendas and all the backup documents. So it does take time to prepare for each of the meetings. I mean, Jill and I at Town Hall do that, my administrative assistant, Jill Blood. So, we try to do as much gathering of information and fact-finding we can for them so they're educated when they come make their decisions and speak at the board meeting. So, but sometimes people just don't know what the overwhelming responsibilities are until they get in, and sometimes they just can't fit it into their lives.
We've also had select board members that were elected, and in their heads, their prime duty was to stop further progress of anything. To the point that one of them we had to recall to get this person out of the seat so we could have a more team building thing. What do you do in those cases?
Well, I mean, again, I think it's education and cohesiveness. You try to get the board, find out why that person is resistant to change or, evolving into a different Ashby. Find out what it is that's making him be or her be negative, and try to, educate them as to how the process is. Sometimes process, people don't understand it until they get in. They used to call it red tape. But there's a lot, sometimes you take 2 steps forward and 4 steps back before you can get what you want accomplished. So, you try to turn around the negative and, make it a positive. But sometimes you can't do that in certain people. So, you would hope they want to come in for the best of Ashby and not the worst.
We have all intentions of starting something with this show, that if somebody's running, they're invited to be questioned by the townspeople. Actually, I'm going to ask anybody if they want to send in questions for this person that's running for the important position, that I have a feeling that that's going to be an improvement over what we got now.
Yes, yep.
I mean, people are looking at you on camera for the first time. A lot of them, because ballots don't have pictures on them. And appointees, when you were appointed by the select board, and you are appointed by the select board, a lot of people in town have absolutely no idea what you look like, because they don't come in contact with you. They never come to town hall. They mail their taxes in. If they make it to the first floor, it's for a dog license. But nobody goes to the second floor unless it's a selectmen's meeting or select board meeting. So I find that. Anyway, budgets, procurements, grants, payroll, schools, trucks, sand and salt, utility bills. To the majority of the people that live in Ashby, we know we pay too much in taxes. Just like the majority of the people in America. Everybody pays too much taxes. Anyway, but other than knowing that the schools receive more money than any other line item, we know less about where the money goes beside the school money. I mean, in most people that live in the town, I mean, they know that town hall does a lot for the town. But other than the school taxes, potholes, people really don't know where the money goes.
Yep. I mean, a town budget is what we call a revenue-based budget. So our revenues in a town like Ashby are all 97.5% driven by property taxes. Other larger communities or cities, there's a lot of tax base coming from businesses, commercial, industrial. Unfortunately, we don't have that. We're kind of considered what they call a bedroom community. So the lion's share of the taxes are burdened onto the taxpayers and residents of Ashby.
Homeowners.
Yes, homeowners. Whoever owns property, their property taxes go into what we call our revenue base. We do get a small portion from the state, what they call the cherry sheet. They give us state aid for, veterans reimbursements, and then we have local taxes that we get from
road paving.
Yeah, well, that's Chapter 90, but we get like permit fees. But again, there's not a lot of building going on in Ashby, so the average, house building permit is probably right around maybe $1,000. So if we only have 3 or 4 being built a year, that's not really a big revenue driver in the town in the town's budget. But as you stated, the school is our biggest expense. We have Monty Tech and we have North Middlesex Regional School District. Between the two of them, they take about 52 to 53% of our budget right off the top. So. And they increase every year. By this year, it's 9%. Last year was 6%. So there's always a large increase. So what people sometimes hear about is the 2.5%. That's the only amount that we can raise our tax base from last year is 2.5%. Anything above that is Prop 2.5, and that's an override. But so the 2.5% that we're able to add on each year automatically goes to the school because their percentage goes up, like I said, 6% last year, 9% this year.
Why?
So I don't know if the budget is just out of control. We don't have any say in the school committee's budget. That's run by the school committee and the superintendent. You know, some people think that we have a lot of say in their budget. We don't. We just get the number handed over to us as what Ashby's assessment would be for that year based on the cost to operate the school and our enrollment figures. So we're just kind of handed a bill once they approve their budget and say this is what you're owed. And usually it's above what we can afford. So we as the 3 town administrators from Pepperell, Townsend, and Ashby got together several times this past year to talk about the fact that we can only afford X amount. And we relayed that message to the school before they did their budget. But I don't know that they listened because it came in at 9% higher. So I think it's just been years and years of maybe budget getting a little out of control, and that we, you know, maybe they need to scale it back. But again, it's not our budget to be able to maintain. However, it's the largest expense that we have in our budget. So we're kind of left with the crumbs that are left in the revenue of our town. So it does get a little bit.
Who are the people that are the Board of Education?
The school committee?
Yeah.
The school committee is made up of, in this particular, there's certain spots for Townsend, Pepperell, and Ashby. Ashby only has 1 representative, but there's 2 members at large. So the 2 members at large kind of represent all 3 districts. Well, they're supposed to be. They're usually from different towns, but they kind of try to look at them all equally, where the other ones are, you know, from Pepperell and Townsend. They're made up of 9 members. So they meet on a regular basis. Right now they're going through the budget. We've been very active with them, but again, we don't have any control. We have no say over the budget. We can make our recommendations, and they can either listen to them or not listen to them. So, you know, it's just kind of maddening because sometimes the school grows at a higher clip than the town, and we're kind of stuck at a stagnant level and not being able to kind of grow and move forward. But, you know, and that's with employees. And my main concern right now is the public safety. As the town gets older in population, we need to look at our public safety and see where we can maybe increase some personnel to be able to cover the calls that to maintain the safety in our town. Right. So that's my top priority.
The safety under the EMTs?
EMS, yes, EMS.
The fire, the police.
Yes, exactly.
So that building.
Yes, yeah. And I'd just like to be able to focus a little bit more attention to hiring more personnel in that aspect to be able to take care of our population. I remember moving into a town, and I found out from the fire department that they were on call. I'd never heard of that back 25 years ago, and they instructed me that someone has to wake up, get out of bed, go to this town fire station, get in the truck, and then come save my house. So I was quite alarmed when I heard that. I assumed that they were all at the station waiting just to respond.
Our current chief said that at his budget hearing.
Yes, yeah. And a lot of people aren't aware of that. Just as you mentioned previously, a lot of people don't come into town hall, and we've talked about that in other town that, you know, you could probably stop 5 or 6 cars on the road and ask them who the town administrator was in their town, and they wouldn't have any idea. You know, like normal Americans, they get up, they go to work every day, they come home, they eat their supper, they enjoy their family, they go to bed, and they do it over again the next day. So as long as the town's running good and their taxes are with reason, they just go about their day-to-day business like the rest of America.
Okay. With all this money flying around, I have a question that I love this question, but it's a tough, I don't know if it's a tough question or not. But the question is, why should we trust you? Well, I think you already answered it with 25 years of experience.
Well, 20 in municipality.
Okay. Well,
but I've been working since I was 14, so.
Everybody, I started when I was 13.
Yeah.
But we've had town administrators in the past, well, specifically the one when I first moved to town, no names mentioned, nothing like that, but this particular town administrator made a very large mistake or got blamed for making a very large mistake. But either way, this person was released from employment, and we had to start all over again with a new town administrator. So I don't think that this person violated our trust, but it was a financial mistake that it cost us quite a bit of money. What stops that from happening in the future?
I know exactly what you're talking about because I lived in
Okay.
this town too. So it kind of
Okay.
made, and it's traveled around the municipal world because we learn from each other's mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody makes mistakes. I don't know a human that hasn't erred for one reason or another in their professional career, but we try to learn from others' mistakes. There was a similar situation that there was in New Hampshire town that a treasurer collector released $3 million to a false email, and it was wired. So we learned from that, and that's new. This new cyber security that we all have had training in, and for the last probably 2 to 3 years, due to incidents like that, scamming emails, phishing emails. So that person was devastated that they made that, but anybody would have looked at that email and thought that that was legit. They had a large project going on in town. It was a pay requisition that they had paid previously. So this was pay rec number 3. She had paid number 2. So these people are quite intelligent when they send
Yeah.
these phishing scams. So
Yeah, and
that kind of made the circuit of municipalities. So we learn from others' mistakes. So, I can't say that I won't ever make a mistake because I'd be foolish to ever say that because I don't know anybody that's perfect.
Right.
I've never met a perfect human being yet. But I certainly double check, triple check. Just like they say, you measure twice, cut once.
Good.
So I
Okay.
dot all my I's and cross all my T's.
So far, I mean, I've observed everything going very well. So, are the town's monies being spent efficiently and effectively, do you think?
I do. I mean, I think there's some changes that I'm looking into, like the health insurance for the employees. Our ratio is kind of antiquated. It's maybe something that used to be in the 70s or the 80s, so I'm looking to save the town money. I mean, ultimately, that will affect me too because I'm on the health insurance, so it
Right.
would be an increase that I would have to pay. But I look at what's going out there and, the rest of the municipal world and compare it to sizes of ours. And, I just want to make sure that we're fair and we're on the same page as all the other municipalities.
Right.
We can't be on an island by ourselves.
And yet
so,
the state loves to put us out there.
yeah. So I just want to make sure that, we're using our money effectively and efficiently and, getting the best dollar, that we can out of, our product. So, like I said, we have a really good department heads that I trust. They try to do their best to get the best price. This is public money, so we have to make sure we can't spend it like it's our own. We have to spend it wisely and effectively and try to stretch that dollar as far as we can get,
Yeah.
which I think we do a pretty good job of.
It sounds good.
Yeah.
Although I'd have to ask at that point, we have a new pickleball court and a new basketball court.
Yes.
What's the plans for that? In the past, nobody ever used it except a couple of kids would come over after school to throw baskets.
Yeah. I can say when I first moved here 16, almost 17 years ago, I used to play tennis with my daughter. Just, I'm not a tennis star by
on
any
the
shape
court?
or form. Yep.
Oh.
But then over time, it started to deteriorate. So to play it, you'd end up probably twisting an ankle or something like that. So I just felt like that with the opera monies, we got a good donation from the Friends of Ashby. They donated $10,000. The town chipped in 20. We got a good paving price because that probably would have been more like a $30,000 or $40,000 job, so he donated some of his labor to that. So, and it's in the downtown. So we want, our downtown to look vibrant and, good and clean and just make it a good place for, I know the seniors plan on doing pickleball. As a lot of seniors around are getting into the pickleball.
Who is going to be in charge of the scheduling, the use?
I think if we
the
get to that,
upkeep?
if we get to a large thing, probably the town could maintain something like that. I know it's basically through the Parks Department, but again, they're a group of 3 volunteers that all work during the day, so they do a lot for the town, and I appreciate them as well. But I don't think we could tax them with that kind of management to maintain a schedule or anything like that. But I'm hoping it flourishes. I'm hoping to see maybe some men's league or women's league play, basketball that might bring some economic growth to 873 or Bill's Market, Ashby Market,
sure.
or anything like that. So I think it just makes the downtown a little bit more vibrant and, maybe more of a place to congregate for the children or young adults or older people to play pickleball on a nice day. And maybe invite some other towns over and have a tournament or something like that.
Why not? They do it with horseshoes.
They do. They do. Yep. So I'm hoping that this will be the first full year that we have it open. So hopefully people use it and come on down and bring your pickleball. And we have the nets there, but no paddles or balls. So
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Next year we'll be able to afford it.
Maybe.
How do you deal with expanding departments such as the library and the COA? The library and the COA now have directors that are phenomenal. I mean, these two women are just, I can't believe the growth in the COA and in the library.
Yep. I agree. I think the Friends of the Library have done great things with the librarian director. Heather, she's been a great asset. I've got to come to know her more and more with these department head meetings, and she brings us up apprised of what's going on. Her newsletter I get every week. I think it's fantastic. She's brought in a lot of great programs. The tool shed that she implemented at the library for people to be able to borrow tools that they might just need one time and never use ever again. So check out the library and check out the tools.
Yeah.
I think they've done a lot. April at the COA with the Friends of the COA, they've done a lot. They've done a lot of fundraising, so they're able to bring more programs, have more coffee hours. So it's been a vibrant COA, and it's wonderful because we see it in town hall. So we see the people come in, they play cornhole, they have chair yoga, they have Tai Chi.
You can see just by the number of cars in the front of town hall now.
Oh yeah.
If we didn't have the parking lot out in the back,
right,
where would the employees park?
I know.
There's so many cars out there for COA.
No, it's wonderful to see because again, we have a small budget.
Yeah.
We have they're part-time people. The director of both directors are part-time, so we truly appreciate all their hard work.
And yet they work a lot more
absolutely
than what they're being paid for. And
absolutely.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that can't understand why somebody would do that.
Yeah.
But these two women are so dedicated
They are.
to the job that they took on. And I think they're being rewarded by the people in town actually coming to participate in their new programs.
Oh, I agree, and kudos to both of them. We give them accolades all the time, and they're well deserved because they really have grown both the library and the COA.
I'm not old enough to be COA, but
me
the library, I can go to the library.
Yeah,
that's a great place.
Yeah, and she has all kinds of kids programs all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see the vibrant of the younger generation sometimes at the library and the older generation at the senior center. But there's a lot of young seniors there that are interested in cornhole and interested in pickleball and tennis. So they're a vibrant
to keep active.
Right, and they do knitting
and to make new friends.
Exactly. A lot of them have come just for the social part of it. So it's great to just get out of the house on a Tuesday or Thursday or Wednesday. So it's wonderful to see, and we're very appreciative because we don't have some of the COA centers like other towns just due to the we don't have the extra buildings or the money, unfortunately, to build one. So
or a millionaire to pay for it.
That's right. I wish we had a millionaire, a couple in town. Yeah, but we make do with what we have, and I think we do well with what we have, and. I think that people really appreciate it that.
And I love it when people say, "Where are you from?" I'm from Ashby. Where's Ashby?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I don't want you to know where Ashby is.
No. It's a nice rural town that's a hidden town and it's a hidden treasure.
It really is. Working with others. Part of your responsibility is to coordinate between the town's many committees, commissions, and the select board. Do all town committees report to you?
No, some are elected and some are appointed. Some are mostly appointed by the select board. So they don't really, and I don't think in this town any are direct reports to me. Sometimes if there was like a Parks or Recreation director, they would most likely report to the town administrator, but the elected ones don't. They report to the residents and the voters.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Yep.
Okay. how would you handle a committee that has gone inactive or out of control?
I would meet with them and again try to wheel them back in and find out, where the frustrations are, and let them know what the rules and regulations are for meetings. And we're looking to do training in this town. So we have a small budget that we were allotted from the opera monies. That is a downfall of this town. They just didn't have a lot of trainings. So I think trainings are a wonderful thing, and a lot of our department heads do trainings on their own through the fire association, the police association. So I believe everybody can learn something from a training course. They'll usually walk away with one thing that they didn't know before. So I think it's an asset to the town to have, trained employees and educated employees.
Okay.
So I would educate the boards just as employees, same as employees.
Good. That's something that I think could be used. Well, it's the same thing for the select board members, the new select board member. The training is invaluable, I guess. Since most committees are made up of volunteers, how do you deal with volunteers who have to learn? You just answered that. You train them.
Yeah.
But how do you train? How do you train somebody that's on the? I'm trying to think of which committee.
Planning board?
No, not so much the planning board, but the planning board. God, they got to take what, 7 courses?
When they got 5 years, it's almost like a jail sentence.
Yeah.
So they'd have a long time to learn.
Yeah.
And in most committees, you learn from the people that are the sitting members that it might have been on, like I said, 1 or 2 terms already. They've already kind of been there. They kind of teach you the ropes, let you know. You learn from process. The more you have a meeting, you'll see how our meetings run, and the process and the procedures in which that meeting takes place. Each one are a little bit different. Planning boards and stuff have hearings that they have to attend. The board of select board have hearings every once in a while.
Right.
But so they're all run a little differently. So I think once you sit on a board, you learn from being there, and you learn from your other board members, and also trainings. And as you said, and with today's society and technology, there's so many courses that you can take online just to educate yourself on it. So you learn as you go, but you also learn from attending classes online or in person.
Is there a plan in the works to have all committees and departments give an annual report to the select board, not just a budget review or requests?
I was thinking of, we've done this before, but we had 1 or 2 members from a planning board, so they didn't have to post a meeting, just kind of come in and give what the planning board does, what does the Board of Health do, come in front of the select board, at a televised meeting, and just kind of give, not the mission statement, but, what the duties and responsibilities of that particular board.
You've started that, or you
No,
want
that's
to?
something that I would like to. I know that they...
idea. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I think it just kind of educates the people. I know we're not Channel 5. There's not a lot of people watching the select board meeting, but we do have it hybrid, so we have it in person
on Zoom,
and on Zoom. So we do get a lot of participants, I think, via Zoom. People can watch it in their living room. They can watch it while they're cooking dinner.
More.
Yes, a lot more than we ever did before.
Yeah.
So I think it's good for people to tune in and just kind of educate themselves on what's happening right now in town.
Right.
I know people are busy with their lives and children, so like I said, I know we're not Channel 5 and people are watching us for the news, and but I think it's good to be able to have the board member come in and kind of explain it. So like one spokesperson from each board just come in, whether it's once a month or kind of like the select board are doing with their office hours. I'd like to see that just so people can understand what does the Board of Health do and what does the Parks Department do. And
Well, that's what we're trying to do here. But any information we can get out there, educating the people as to what the job is, because otherwise what happens is an election becomes a popularity contest, has nothing to do with qualifications,
right.
which I think we're at the point where qualification should mean more than, oh yeah, I know that guy, he's good, he's nice. Nice doesn't always do it. So, all right. What are some of the town's long-range plans being worked on at this point in time?
As I said, I think at the beginning of this interview that our revenue is, property based.
Limited,
So
yeah.
we're very limited. I don't anticipate any big growth in this town for another 25 or 50 years. As everything moves out west, I think Ashby will become a little bit more populated. I don't see them putting in any major highways around us anytime soon. So I don't see Amazon or Market Basket or Walmart coming anytime soon. So for the revenue, you have to look outside the box. So I've been trying to look outside the box and look at solar, look at cell towers. I don't want this place to look like some kind of UFO place. But I think those are the outside of the boxes that, we're very lucky to have marijuana here. I know people wouldn't be believing I'm saying that now 5 years ago. They would think I was maybe on it, which I'm not. But it has generated over $100,000 a year in revenue to this town. When it first came out, it was about $140,000. Now it's kind of tapered off a little bit because of other places. So, that's a big revenue because we're based on we get a sales tax from what they retail.
Right.
So it's not on the manufacturing or growing, it's just what they sell, and they have a retail store here. So,
But they've been working with COA a lot.
Yes,
To the point that, COA had an ice cream social up in Mason. And the
it was sponsored
United
by
Cultivation,
Yes, yep.
they paid for it.
Yes, yeah. So they're a good steward of the town. They're a good business. I think they did a fantastic job redoing that building. I think it looks fantastic
They're
compared to what
quiet.
it was. They are very quiet.
They're quiet.
We've had no
They're-
issues. They say they pay the same taxes as us, but with the mass sales tax, we're able to take in that money. So I don't see that another one coming into town. So that would just offset the one that's here. So we're only allowed one retail shop anyways. Based on our populations, it's kind of like our liquor
is it?
licenses.
Oh, okay.
Yep, so we're only allowed one retail. But, we could have more grow sites in this area, and they kind of look at the rural areas such as Ashby and the small towns where they can buy land and put up a greenhouse, and you wouldn't even know that it was growing there. So
Right.
depending on how that goes forward, if the other states, come on, I can see stuff like that growing in this town that would generate revenue for the town, other than the taxpayer.
Yeah.
So we're just looking for that because, like anybody, all the, your home bills have gone up, electricity. Well, same with town hall, same with the public safety building, the library. So we need to offset that extra money, inflation that's hitting our pocketbooks to operate.
So the whole thing really comes down to money, as,
Yes,
as
yep.
everything does.
Oh
So,
yes, yep.
Yeah, we're not going to fight that.
No.
Does Ashby, like most towns, put out a lot of fires? Those unplanned, time-consuming jobs that can't be ignored. Heat and air conditioning goes down at one of the town buildings. Elevators are down. That happens at both of our elevator spots in town. COVID was such a schedule destroying. I'm surprised that the town is still here. I didn't pay my taxes that year, and you guys didn't even know it.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. But COVID, freedom of information requests, employees out sick. I can remember one of the places I worked, I ran a pretty big building supply, and when one of my main salespeople got a cold, the last thing I wanted to do was everybody in a place to get a cold. So I took these Post-it notes and I put sick phone. I slapped it on a phone, and that person that was sick had to use that phone because what did I have? Like maybe 6 full-time salespeople. If one of them got sick and got somebody else sick, and they got somebody else sick, I could end up closing.
Right.
Just because of, so it's the same. You're kind of in the same boat. You have a very limited full-time employees in this building.
We do, and during COVID, I wasn't at this town when it happened, but I had to do dog licenses because our clerk was out with COVID. So you kind of just chip in and you do what you can to help the resident. It's to serve the resident and the person coming to town hall to the best of our ability. At that given moment if that person's out. So it's a service generated building, the town hall. It's there
So
for the
you
people.
found that when you were in town hall with COVID, that everybody just kind of I think the same thing would happen here. Everybody just kind of did as much as they could to cover for everybody.
Right. Yep. And just chip
So
in,
that-
and
yeah.
I think we've learned a lot from COVID. Like I said, the hybrid meetings came out of COVID, so I think some good things came out of that. It kind of pushed us all a little bit into the 21st century, technology-wise.
Is the state gonna?
They haven't decided
eliminate-
yet. It's the end of March. They all feel like it was part of the Empowerment Act, but that won't get voted on until next year. So we're pretty confident. The state reps are saying that they're pretty confident they'll probably extend it again at this point, but then they'll put it in the Empowerment Act and make it a permanent, that you can do hybrid and remote. And yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
I think it's a great way. Like I
Yeah.
said, I think we get a lot more participants on our
Oh, yeah.
on our Zoom, and again, they can be cooking dinner, eating dinner, and doing their nightly routine,
Yeah.
and still listen in without
Yeah.
having to come to town hall, get in a car in the cold, dark nights. And
Yeah.
but the first part of your question is what I call the ad hoc part. Things happen every day. There's no 2 days are usually the same, and that's what I like. That's what attracts me to this job the most, I think.
Really?
I like that, off the cuff time. I like to be busy. I like my days to be busy. I don't like quiet time.
I know you don't,
No.
because there's
Yeah,
always something happening on the
Yeah,
second
it
floor.
is, and I think that's probably one of my
Yeah.
favorite part. And dealing with the public is my favorite part. I always like to, talk a person and a resident if they're upset about something. I like to try to, have them come in with a frown and leave with a smile. So, to the best of my ability. Sometimes I can't always do that, but I
Yeah.
try my hardest to. And same with the employees. If there's something bothering an employee, I just want them to come and talk to me about it because, I do believe we're a team, and I think we're a good team. So.
And you are HR.
I am HR. So we try to make
Like
everybody
it or
happy.
How do you find the staff of professionals you've inherited from your predecessor?
I think, like I said, we have a really good team here. They put in a lot of hours. We're talking about the librarian and COA. They work beyond their hours. I know they take phone calls from residents, and they help residents in need on weekends and stuff like that. Police and fire, too, they're dedicated. They're longstanding, have a lot of experience. I think we have a good group of people here. I'd like to see us grow a little bit more, but it will be over time. We'll implement things slowly and steadily, but I would like to see Ashby grow a little bit. I think we're a part-time town hall, which is very uncommon. I don't know of many others in the area, but it's working. It's working. I haven't heard any complaints from residents saying that they wish we were open longer. We have Wednesday night hours at town hall, so I think we make do with what we have, and we make it work for the residents.
Right.
We have the lockbox outside that they can drop their payments off, and we're always available by telephone and email. So I think it's worked for the residents.
Where are the telephone numbers and email addresses for the?
It's usually all on the town website.
Okay.
Yep, and I believe we have it listed on a bulletin board out front, which is our official posting site.
Oh, okay.
Is the
All right.
the bulletin board right in front of town hall. But
Okay.
yeah, I think we've worked well. I think we've provided good service to the residents, and if anybody ever wants more or needs to understand more, I would just ask them to give us a call, and we can try to conform to what they need or at that given moment.
Great. Okay. So out in front of town hall, for those people that haven't been to town hall, they have had no reason. We have the bulletin board, which posts meetings. Legally, you have to post a meeting on that bulletin board.
Correct, 48 hours in advance of a meeting. So that's our legal posting site. Some towns have it as their website. Ours is the bulletin board out front, which was located in between the two entrances of the town
Right.
hall. And they can go there and look. We do put those same postings on our website, so it keeps the people informed of what meetings are coming up, so they can either attend them. And some are still remote, all remote, not in person. And like I said, select board are hybrid, which means in person and remote.
So when you go to the website of the town, it's townofashby.com or .org or
It's
what is it?
ashbyma.gov.
ashbyma.gov.
Yep. And that'll take you to the Ashby website. And then
Okay.
within there, there's all the
Then
departments.
all the, so you can look at, I think it's recent meetings? or-
Yes. Yep.
And that'll tell you what meetings are coming up.
Yep,
And
usually
whether
the-
they're on Zoom or whether,
Correct.
yeah.
Yep. they'll have the agenda posted to it, and they'll have a Zoom link if it's posted for a hybrid or a remote meeting. Some of
Right.
them are still, like I said, remote
Good.
access only.
Okay.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people rely on, online
And then
for a lot of things.
Out front also, at the end of the curved driveway in front of Town Hall, there's the mailboxes at the end,
Yes.
which I'm not sure everybody knows that either.
Yep.
So now
That's
you know.
Yep. There's a secured collection box there for
Yeah.
taxes and dog licenses or anything like that. So you can put that in after hours. I've utilized that many
Oh, yeah.
times.
Yeah, the taxes
Yep.
especially, yeah.
I've utilized that because when I traveled out of town, when I worked for another, I would leave before town hall opened, and by the time I came back, town hall was closed. So just to avoid maybe coming in on a Wednesday night, you can put that in the lockbox, and that's checked daily. So
Yeah, you're gonna love that.
yep.
Can you foresee changes in in the town systems, given the growth in technology, virtual meetings, communication systems, and Ashby's changing populations? That wasn't one hell of a question, was it? Can you foresee the changes in the town systems, given the growth in technology? We kind of already covered that because
Yeah.
Zoom is a big thing for the meetings. And the changing population, is the population of Ashby getting younger?
Well, right now, I think a third of it is over 60 and over. So, I mean, I think we're probably going to stay steady there for a while before we,
Yeah, we only get
increase-
older.
Right. Yeah. We all get older. So
Yeah.
even the young get older. So,
Yeah.
I think we got a good mix of a population in this town. I can see it when we have community events. I usually attend all the community events, which have grown exponentially over the years, and it's just a nice place to see your neighbors. I see some of mine that I don't generally see, older
how
neighbors
about-
and younger.
How about the population of the school? Is it growing for?
No, I think it fluctuates a little bit right now.
Yeah.
We're going through a little bit of budget woes with the school committee and the possible closure of our elementary school.
Again.
We're looking to get a new agreement, a regional agreement that will say that every member town shall have a viable elementary school regardless of its enrollment. So I'm pushing very strongly for that, a new agreement. We already have it in its draft stages. I think it's on its final stages. It would have to come to the town, each member town, which we have Townsend, Pepperell, and Ashby. It would be voted on at their annual town meeting to get it approved, because the current one we have, which I was quite shocked when I started here, was from 1970. I said there must be another one since then, and they said nope, this is the one from 1970, which had Dunstable still part of our North Middlesex Regional
Was
School
it really?
District. So they had since pulled out and went with Groton,
Groton,
many,
yeah.
many years ago, but we still have that same contract, or agreement, I should say. So those are things that I'd like to see just kind of bring us into the 21st century. We need some more hot spots around town, some more better IT over at the library. So we're looking at some IT grants. The community compact grants are a good way to get some money from the state. Comcast has a broadband. They're looking for those areas that are unserviced areas, which we have a few in this town, where cable wasn't run down the road because the fact there was only one or two houses there. So the federal gave us some money. Hopefully that's still there. But we did qualify for a grant. So I'm waiting to hear from Comcast as to how much Ashby got. So the grants out there are many. It's just a matter of going to get them. I've been successful at a few of them already this year. So my intention is to move forward with a lot of grants and try to get that so-called free money for the town and kind of move us forward, and whether it's technology or purchasing equipment. I know the fire chief is very good with grants. The police go after a lot of grants for their equipment. Highway has Chapter 90. We obtained another roadway through a grant. So, we're moving forward and trying to stay current with, grant writing. And I know the library's done a lot of grants, and she's been successful at that. So, in collaboration, I think overall we do a good job management-wise to move the town forward with grants, which I call as free money. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
we had Green Communities.
Yes,
We
yeah,
got a lot from Green
Yes.
Communities, and then they changed their
Yeah.
program, so it's tough to
yeah.
get anything from them now. But
I was very depressed, and I know you were part of that committee, that because there's a lot of work to be a green community. So you guys put a lot of effort in. So you brought us forth a lot sooner than many other towns around us. So even though we might be small, I think we're mighty. So
okay, and that's where we're going to end. We're mighty Ashby. Thank you very much
Yeah,
for
thank you.
coming on.